everybody, and welcome back or welcome to another one of my videos. My name is Lauren Porter and you're watching Quarters with Porter. Okay, so for today's video, we are going to be talking about the 2023 NBA playoffs. And yes, they did start like an hour ago, but you know, we're still going to do our predictions because it's a 7-game series. So whoever wins the game today, it doesn't even matter because the other team can still end up on top at the end. We're going to do our predictions even though we are a little bit late. It is finally NBA playoff season. Like, yes, it's the best time of the year. Definitely think that this year's playoffs is also going to be another very entertaining year where we have no idea who's going to end up on top. You're gonna have to stick around to the end to see who I think is gonna end up on top this year. Let's go ahead and get into my predictions for this year, starting off with the Eastern Conference first round. So since I am filming this on the first day of the playoffs, I'm trying to get this video out, so I'm not gonna go too into depth, but I am gonna give y'all a little bit of reasoning on why I picked each team. So the very first matchup that we are going to be doing today is the Miami Heat versus the Milwaukee Bucks. This one was a very easy one for me. Obviously the Bucks are going to come out on top. The Hawks just waxed the floor with the Heat in the play-in. You know, the Hawks are in their revenge era, but we're gonna get into that a little bit later. But the Heat, they're not looking as good as they looked last year, if we're all being honest. So I don't think that this is going to be a hard one for the Bucks. I think it could be a sweep. I think it could be a 5-game series, but the Bucks are definitely going to come out on top in this one. The next matchup we have is a matchup that I did not expect to see in the playoffs. Like, if you would have told me in the beginning of the season that the Knicks and the Cavs were going to play against each other first round, I would have told you you were a comedian. But yes, our very next matchup is the Cleveland Cavaliers and the New York Knicks. This is a great matchup. We have the Cleveland Cavaliers, which are a very young but also very talented team. They have one of the top, if not the #1 defenses in the NBA. Then they have guard Donovan Mitchell, who is having an outstanding season. He currently averages 32 points against the Knicks, so I know he is going to definitely go crazy in this playoff series. The Knicks can sneak in a game, but I think that the Cavaliers are definitely going to take this one in 5. Next we have the Philadelphia 76ers and the Brooklyn Nets. So this one is definitely interesting. You have MVP, which if he doesn't win MVP is rigged, but we have MVP Joel Embiid. You know, he is definitely ring chasing this year. We know he wants MVP. We know he wants to finally win a ring. Philadelphia does not have the best playoff history. Like, we've all seen it. We've seen what my team has done to them. We've seen what other teams have done to them. They just do not have the best playoff history. But I feel like this year, them finally having a fully healthy team, that this is definitely going to be their year to shine. And with Brooklyn having a lot of people leave from their roster, I don't think that this is going to be their year in the playoffs. So for this matchup, I'm definitely going with the Philadelphia 76ers. And now we are getting into my team. You know, if you couldn't tell, I'm rocking with the Atlanta Hawks. And if you didn't know that, you're not locked into Quarters with Porters enough, so go tap into some other videos after this one. Our last matchup in the Eastern Conference is going to be the Boston Celtics and the Atlanta Hawks. You know, I'm very excited that Atlanta is back in the playoffs. It was kind of a lose-lose situation. You know, we were either going to play the Bucks or the Celtics. Like, the odds were never in our favor. And as much as I love my team, if I'm being realistic, we have a lot of things that we need to work on. We need to make some roster changes this summer. And with the addition of our new coach, who has been doing a great job so far, he kind of walked into a wildfire. You know, the Hawks have barely stayed over 500 the entire NBA season this year. Unfortunately, I do not see them beating the Boston Celtics this year. I don't see them getting swept though. That's where everyone is kind of like losing me on the getting swept part. I don't see the Hawks getting swept, but I don't see them winning this series. But hopefully next year we can get some things together as a team and actually be playoff contenders. Boston is a top team. You know, they went to the finals last year. They're definitely on a mission to win. Great roster, talented all-around team. So unfortunately my team in the first round has to go against the Celtics, but I'm going to be taking the Boston Celtics over the Atlanta Hawks. But if Atlanta does somehow come out with a miracle and win, just know I always believed in y'all. Okay, so now let's get into the Western Conference first round. The first matchup that we have is the Denver Nuggets and the Minnesota Timberwolves. You know, the Minnesota Timberwolves barely even got into the playoffs this year, so I'm definitely going to be going with Denver in this matchup. Denver also has a lot of players that came back from injury with Michael Porter Jr., Jamal Murray. You know, two great key pieces that they were missing in last year's playoffs are now back, so I definitely see them having a great playoff run this year. And the Timberwolves always have something going on. Like, there's always something going on with somebody on that roster, so I do not see them beating the Denver Nuggets. I honestly don't even see them getting a game in. I think this is going to be a sweep. The next matchup that we have is the Phoenix Suns versus the Los Angeles Clippers. So unfortunately for the Los Angeles Clippers, Paul George is out. I feel like the addition of Russell Westbrook onto this team did a little something for the Clippers, but I don't think that addition is going to be enough to beat the Suns. The Suns are stacked. Russell Westbrook also does not have the best playoff history. You know, hopefully he can rewrite history a little bit this year. I'm not one of those Westbrook haters. I want to see him do well. Also a Kawhi fan, so I would love to see Kawhi, you know, get another ring for himself, but this is definitely not going to be his year with the injuries going on within his team. Overall, with the fact that the Suns are the better team here, and the Suns also have Kevin Durant. The Suns are 8-0 with Kevin Durant. I'm sorry, Clipper fans, y'all are just not taking this one. I am definitely going with the Suns over the Clippers. Our next matchup is another one that if you would have told me in the beginning of the season that this was going to be the matchup, I would have said you were lying. But we have the Golden State Warriors and the Sacramento Kings. The Sacramento Kings have definitely changed their franchise around. They have a great team this year that is definitely going to give Golden State a run for their money. Golden State Warriors are, of course, our reigning 2022 NBA champs, so I do not see them being a first round exit. Even though the Kings are a very talented team, I feel like they still are very young, inexperienced in the playoffs, and have some things that they need to work on, such as their defense. And defense wins championships, and when you're playing against players like Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Stephen Curry, you need defense. The Golden State Warriors also have a lot of experience over the Sacramento Kings, which I feel like is also going to be the Kings' downfall. Very inexperienced team in the playoffs versus the Warriors, who have won multiple playoffs and won last year. Don't doubt the Kings, though. I don't think that this is going to be a easy series for Golden State, but I do think Golden State is going to end up on top in the end. And our last Western Conference matchup in the first round is going to be the Los Angeles Lakers and the Memphis Grizzlies. Y'all might not like what I'm about to say, and I'm not a LeBron hater by any means, but I do not see them getting out of the first round this year. In my personal opinion, I feel like Memphis has the better roster here. And if AD is unable to stay healthy throughout the Lakers playoff run, that is definitely going to be a huge issue for them. I love LeBron. He's very accomplished, and I'm not doubting him or this team at all, because I actually would like to see, you know, LeBron in the playoffs again. You know, we didn't get to see that last year. That the Lakers had a great playoff run and actually won a championship as well was during that bubble in 2020. So I definitely do want to see LeBron do well. You know, who wants to see LeBron fall? Actually, a lot of people want to see LeBron fall, but I'm not one of those people. Memphis plays great with or without their star player Ja Morant. In this instance, I feel like Memphis is going to win, but I'm not doubting the Lakers. I feel like the Lakers could win this series. You know, they made some roster changes. They got rid of Russell Westbrook, brought some players onto their team, which has definitely proved to be a positive thing for their team, as we've seen towards the end of their season. But I just honestly feel like the Memphis Grizzlies are the better team here. So I'm gonna have to go with them. I'm sorry, LeBron, like I was still like an interview one day, please. Okay, so now let's get into the second round of the playoffs. So we're going to start with the Eastern Conference again. The first matchup that we have is the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Milwaukee Bucks. So in this series, I think experience is going to have a huge role. Cleveland Cavaliers are a very, very talented team and are great defensively, which is going to be a problem for the Bucks. But at the same time, this is a very young team. This is a lot of Cavaliers players first time in the playoffs, and honestly, when you're talking about playoffs, experience plays a big role in that. Cavs are one of those teams that you want to see win because they're such a fun team to watch. They're so talented, they're so young that it's like you want to root for them. But Giannis is Giannis. This is not about to let a team full of third years and second years beat him in the playoffs. I just don't see that happening. So I'm gonna have to go with Giannis and his Milwaukee Bucks in this round. Our next matchup is going to be the Boston Celtics versus the Philadelphia 76ers. This is definitely going to be a tougher matchup. We have the Boston Celtics, who are a top team defensively. They're a top team offensively as well. And if I haven't said it enough, defense wins championships, and the Celtics defense is what gets them so far in the playoffs every single time. So it's like you wanna go that way, but then you have to remember the 76ers are healthy this year. Joel Embiid is having an MVP season, very, very talented athlete, and he still also has James Harden on his side. This matchup is definitely not going to be an easy one for Boston, but I do think that in the end, Boston is going to end up on top. This series is probably going to be a 6-7 game series, just because that fight in Joel Embiid is not going to be easy for the Celtics. But at the same time, I feel like the Celtics are the better, well-rounded team, so I'm gonna have to go with them on this one. Okay, now let's get into the Western Conference second round. Up first is definitely a tough one. We have the Phoenix Suns and the Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets have Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray back, like I said earlier, but they also have defensive problems on their team. I'm gonna have defensive problems going up against a team like the Phoenix Suns, who have a bunch of shooters, who have great guards, and who have Kevin Durant. At the same time, you cannot forget that the Nuggets are a great team filled with great athletes. You know, they have the reigning two-time champ Jokic on their team, and I know he wants to go back to the Western Conference Finals, and I know he wants to bring a ring to Denver. So it's not going to be an easy matchup at all. It honestly can go either way, but just because of the Nuggets defense, I am going to have to go with the Phoenix Suns. Up next, we have the Golden State Warriors and the Memphis Grizzlies. You know, we have a part 2 to this series. This series is probably the one that I might be most excited for, just because of the little beef that these two teams have with each other. And who doesn't like a little bit of beef? Like, let's be honest. Now, last time these two teams played each other, it went to a 6-game series, and I think that's going to be the same thing again. I do think that the Memphis Grizzlies are not going to back down onto the Golden State Warriors, but I do think that the Golden State Warriors will end up on top. I hope I get to see more trash talk this year, to see John Morant, who has had a controversial season this year, versus Stephen Curry, who is having his second best season statistically. At 35 years old, he is having his second best season stat-wise. So I'm definitely excited to see these two guards go head-to-head once again, but I do think that the Golden State Warriors will end up on top again. My camera's about to die, so we have to get through this Eastern Conference Finals and Western Conference Finals quickly. So the final two teams that we have for the Eastern Conference Finals is going to be the Milwaukee Bucks and the Boston Celtics. And this is probably the toughest matchup yet. The Bucks do have the home court advantage, which I think is going to play into their favor, because this will probably be a 7-game series. But the Bucks' downfall is going to be Chris Middleton's injury. his iffiness, and if he's not 100% for the playoffs, I think this is going to play in the Celtics' favor. The Celtics do have one of the top offenses while also having one of the top defenses in the NBA, which I think is going to secure them this win in the Eastern Conference Finals. I think that the Boston Celtics will be back in this year's NBA Finals. Now let's get into the Western Conference Finals. The final two teams that we have are the Golden State Warriors and the Phoenix Suns. I think this is also a fun matchup because you kind of have KD playing his old team again, because he was on the Warriors for a couple of seasons and now he's back on another super team. It's kind of like an interesting thing here. Like I mentioned earlier, the Suns are unstoppable with KD as they are currently 8-0 with him on the court playing. But in this case, I feel like the Suns are just so hungry to finally put their hands around that trophy. You know, we have Chris Paul, who's 38 years old. Like, I know he wants to retire. Like, I know he does. He's still ringless, and I feel like this year he is on a mission, as the rest of the team is as well. I feel like with the super team that the Suns have created, that this year is definitely going to be their best shot at a chance at the ring. But the Warriors are the reigning champs, so we can't forget that. And they are a talented team with some amazing superstars as well as the Suns. So this is definitely a very tricky matchup, and it can go either way, but my gut is telling me the Suns. My predictions for the NBA Finals are the Phoenix Suns and the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics are a very well-rounded team. You know, we have mentioned multiple times about their great offense and defense and their amazing stacked roster, but the Suns are just as stacked. Both of these teams are hungry for a championship. You know, we have a team who lost in the finals last year, who felt that pain of losing, and I don't think the Celtics want to feel that pain again. But then you also have a team who is looking for their very first championship. They've been yearning for a ring for years. Like, we know how long the Phoenix Suns have been waiting for their time to shine, and this year I think this is their time to shine. This is another great match. I would love to see the Boston Celtics and the Phoenix Suns have a 7-game series. I think it'll be very fun to watch and very interesting to see both of these teams go head to head. But drum roll please. This year, I think that the NBA Finals winner in this year's championship will be the Phoenix Suns. I just think adding such a dynamic player like Kevin Durant to an already stacked roster is definitely going to be what is going to get them that win this year. You know, basketball gods, if y'all are listening, you know, we could throw the Hawks in the finals if y'all want to, and they can get a ring as well. Let me stop playing. But yeah, so I think that the Phoenix Suns are definitely going to take that win this year. Like I said in the beginning of the video, it's really anybody's game. These are just predictions. I want to know what you guys' predictions are as well. Comment down below who you think is going to win the NBA Finals this year. Let's go ahead and wrap this video up. I hope you guys enjoyed watching today's video. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree with my predictions. Be sure to leave a like on today's video. Be sure to hit that subscribe button for more sports content from your girl. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.